whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you. We haven't heard anything directly. We need you to reach out, and we need a way to communicate with you so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have our mom.
A plea on social media from Cameron Guthrie asking for the suspected kidnappers to contact the family as the first ransom demand deadline passes. That was yesterday evening. That first deadline came and went. And again, the Guthrie family asking for the kidnappers to contact them because they don't know how to get a hold of them. It is day 6 now since Nancy Guthrie disappeared. Still a lot of questions about where things stand with this. We have been watching this case very closely, and I want to bring in a law enforcement expert now. We've got Rodney Smith, who's a former law enforcement himself, a body language expert as well. And Rodney, we appreciate you joining us here on Florida Live this afternoon.
Thank you for having me, Garrett.
Rodney, first I just want to get your take about what makes this case unique. In your opinion, in your expertise. I mean, we've seen a lot of people talking about on social media about all the attention this case is getting. What stands out to you about why this case is so unusual?
Well, when you look at the totality and the overall dynamics of what's taken place from the initial possible kidnapping, there's been there has been a lack of communication with the so-called kidnappers. Uh, Typically and oftentimes in situations and circumstances like this, especially when you were talking about money or currency being involved as far as some ransom, there's usually going to have very detailed or strict demands. I want the money delivered by this date, by this time, at this location, and so on and so forth. If that demand has not been met in that particular amount of time or negotiation efforts are taking place, you usually get a continuing or a furtherance for law enforcement to try to work on obtaining and acquiring more information. But it seems like, from what we understand from the onset of the mom's disappearance, there hasn't been any more communication other than the pleas from the family asking for them to give or provide more input as to what they need to help locate their mom and bring her home safely.
When it comes to a ransom note like that, what would law enforcement be looking for in it that might help give them some sort of clues as to what's going on, as to who might be involved? Are there things that they could look for to try to build up some sort of information about a suspect or person of interest in this?
Absolutely. One of the first things we want to look at is knowledge verification. How knowledgeable are you about the facts and the circumstances? This is one reason why law enforcement doesn't put a lot of information out into the general public all the time. You don't want to show your hand initially. If you're dealing with someone that actually is involved with the circumstances, they're going to have knowledge of this individual, what they were last wearing, what they're currently wearing. They know the layout of the home. They have information that can substantiate what the demands are that they're asking for. Even their communication behavior. How aggressive are they? How passive are they? What is their motivation behind this? These efforts come throughout the communicating with them, whether it's via phone, via internet, or whatever the method of transmission will be. But those are probably two of the biggest things that will help in the law enforcement communication, as well as tracing phone calls if they have the opportunity to communicate with them via phone and keep them on the phone for a substantial amount of times to be able to track a location or triangulate.
We have seen major search efforts. We're showing some of that video in the area now. I mean, TMZ reporting today, though, that some more details from the ransom note saying, essentially they don't necessarily believe she might be in the Tucson area, that it may be, somewhere else in the kind of southwestern United States or even northern Mexico. How does something like that, when time is of the essence in a search like this, make things more difficult, kind of having to really widen the scope of that search?
Well, it makes it extremely difficult in this situation. We have an 84-year-old woman who is in need of medication. And when she doesn't have that medication, depending on what she's actually taking and how it helps her in her health, time is of the essence. If she were diabetic, if she needs heart medication, if she has different things going on internally that are helping her efforts to maintain a healthy lifestyle, these are going to be very detrimental when you narrow or when you have to broaden or widen your scope of search, because now rescuing efforts, you're looking at manpower, time is not on your side, and you're having to look in a larger area of a demographic that could be a lot larger than what you anticipated to start with.
I want to get your thoughts on the original video posted on social media from Savannah Guthrie and her siblings that came on Wednesday night when they first acknowledged the ransom demands and first expressed a willingness to speak with the potential kidnappers into this case. We talked to a retired FBI agent yesterday who told us that she pretty much guarantees the FBI essentially kind of wrote what they had to say, or at least had a heavy hand in guiding that, kind of shaping that message and that video that they released. And so I want to get your thoughts, and I'm going to kind of play it and get your thoughts as a body language expert, as well as far as like what we are seeing in this video, because you see very different demeanors from each of the siblings in this video. What were some of your takeaways from that?
Well, at the onset, when you look at the daughter in the middle, she in the black shirt, she's more forward projected. She is obviously the leader in this group. With her being of a celebrity status, she is probably going to be a lot more outspoken. She shows a lot more facial features, more animation in her plea and cry. When you look at the brother seated to her left, you don't see much movement at all from him. He's pretty upright, rigid. However, he does have his arms crossing his lower extremities of his body. He's more controlled. He does have an open posture, more so with his legs, but you don't see much animation, much excitement, much movement from him. But we do see a bit of guarding, if you will, guarding, like I said, the lower extremities, and you see a little bit of that arm covering the forearm, or his hand covering the forearm, which is a sign of self-soothing behavior. When you look at the sister to her right, she's also in the same circumstance and situations as the brother. She's sitting upright. She's more leaned back. When she has her opportunity to speak, you don't see a lot of animation or emotion in her, but we do see that she's actually showing some type of support with her left hand holding her sister's hand. But you don't see a lot of emotions out of either the brother or the sister on the sides as much as you do in the middle. So I would say that they probably gave her the lead because she's used to being in front of a camera. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've got something to hide or that they're being defensive. It could be that the fact that they just don't like being in front of camera, and because they're being viewed in front of the entire world, they really don't have much of an animation or a display to present to everyone at the time. We don't know thoroughly what their normal baseline would be because we're only looking at maybe a minute and a half clip here.
And if law enforcement did have a hand in kind of shaping that and kind of putting that together, what do you think is the strategy there, and how that turned out? As far as the specific message and framing of that message that they're trying to send to that audience they're trying to reach, which is the kidnappers, the suspects in this, trying to get them to reach out and make contact.
Well, if it is written by the actual FBI, they're trying to touch on certain behaviors that would promote empathy in the kidnapper. They want to be able to reach their heart. They want to be able to reach their ear, to using keywords as the daughter in the white shirt mentions. Different keywords and phrases in there. It almost gives you the impression that maybe she did not write it, because as she speaks, she looks as though she's actually reading it verbatim. So we don't see that emotion that would come with certain words or certain phrases as much as you do with the sister in the middle. I think the sister in the middle is either reading key points or a direct script, but she's also adding some of her own conversational input with that, which is why we see more emotion on the side.
I also want to ask you, we know a man has been arrested for making what investigators say was an imposter ransom demand. another ransom note that was sent, this one to the family, that investigators believe was just someone essentially, trying to copycat and profit off of something like this. First of all, what makes someone want to do that in a situation like this? And how can investigators tell the difference between something that may be the real deal and someone just trying to capitalize on a terrible situation?
Well, as we talked earlier, why would someone want to capitalize on that, and how would they verify this? So, uh, number one, here we have a clear opportunity for opportunity. So, from a psychological standpoint, someone says, I've got an opportunity to maybe receive some type of financial gain. Maybe I can outsmart law enforcement, or if I can get them to send money to this account and it not be traced back to me, I have an opportunity to gain some type of financial reward. Ultimately, what we're looking at is this will have some type of benefit or personal gain for the individual. There's also a possibility that an individual is in financial desperation that would cause someone to go out and do this. And as well as a level of receiving some type of notoriety. Most of the copycats that we see, even in the movies from time to time, they want that same notoriety as someone else has gained that same amount of attention. But as we would say, how would law enforcement validate those claims? We go back to the communication behavior and their knowledge base as to how are they communicating with us? What is it that they know? What is it that they don't know? And what information should they know that they have not yet revealed to us that we can confirm or validate that these individuals are the people we're looking for?
The clock is certainly still ticking. A few more details continue to trickle out about this. The New York Post reporting that neighbors said they saw a suspicious white van parked on the street in the days leading up to this, which, if that has anything to do with it, would show that this is something that had certainly been planned, at least for a little bit. What happens next in this investigation with still no suspect description, still no person of interest or anything identified? What are the next steps for law enforcement now in a case like this?
Ultimately, there's going to be some legwork. Obviously, they'll be going door to door, checking neighbors for, just like you said, suspicious activity, checking ring cameras, checking cameras that may be set on the highways, looking for patterns of behavior that may show this van was circling the area. They've always been seen here. However, they don't live here. Trying to get those license plates, those maybe even going back, checking phone call records, interviewing the brother and the sisters to try to get information as to find, has anything happened in your life recently that someone would want to take out their animosity, not just against you, but against your whole family, looking for things that would find a way to break that. I guess you would say the mom is the thread that's holding the family together right now. So this could be a targeted attack, not just on one family member, but the entire family as a whole. So is there something that may be going on financially? Did someone do something that would have hurt an individual, and now they're trying to target and go against them to hit them where it hurts, if you will?
Law enforcement and body language expert Rodney Smith, we appreciate you joining us here on Florida Live this afternoon, sharing your expertise with us and explaining this investigation in this case that we continue to watch closely.
Thank you for having me.